Hello and welcome. I'm Connie Douglas from Great Stamping with Connie, and thank you for joining me for a relatively new feature that I have called That's Fancy. It's a time where we play with different products, different tools, perhaps a fancy fold. Who knows? We're just here to have some crafting fun. So thank you for coming along for the ride. Hopefully it's not too bumpy, but anyway, it may be some fun. And so I thank you for being here tonight. Hi, Mary. I'm so glad you stopped in to join me. You may recognize this card. This is a card that we made in our team meeting a little while ago. And it's a card that was shared by another demonstrator named Rachel Tessman, and she has marvelous cards and ideas that she shares. Everyone in the crafting world shares their ideas. We love to share things that we've created and things that we have cased from someone else. CASE stands for copy and selectively edit, which means we'll take someone else's card or their idea and we'll tweak it just a little bit and make it our own. And that's what I have tonight. It's a card that she demonstrated, and I've taken it and I've made my own version of it. Very, very similar, different paper, different colors, different stamp sets, but the layout is the same. It is called a double gatefold easel card. So it's like a gatefold card and an easel card all combined into one. So we will step through how to put that together. There's a number of cutting and scoring bits and pieces at the beginning, and then it's mostly just a case of decorating and stamping and fun and playing. So, and I noticed as I was just about to go live that I've missed at least some of the scoring lines in my instructions that I'm going to use as my little cheat sheet. So I may have to do a little bit of fix up before I post this after the video is done. But anyway, why don't we get started? I will put this down. Oh dear, it looks like the video. Oh no, I think the video's okay. I always struggle with technology, but I think we're good. Look at that. We have in the picture what I was hoping we would have in the picture. So far we are off to a good start. So this is the card. It's, as you can see, it's a little bit thicker. Oh, here's my ingredients list on the back. Whoopsie, don't mail that when you, don't include that when you mail it out to someone. I put that there so I can remember exactly what all I've got in all these cards. I make so many. So anyway, it is a little bit thicker, but it will still go in an envelope and mail with a regular stamp. It's got this pretty bow on the edge, and when you open it up, we'll just undo the bow here. The ribbon is nice and long so that the recipient can open and close this if they wish, and there's lots of ribbon left to retie your bow. So you open it up, and inside we have all this pretty designer series paper. This is from the Pattern Party designer series paper that you can get with your host rewards anytime you have an order over $200, or if you host a get together with some friends and they want to order a few things. You don't even have to get together, but it's more fun to get together and stamp. But if you gather some orders for some friends and they total $200 or more, then you qualify for host rewards. And you can use the host rewards to buy this package of designer series paper. It's a huge package and it's an awesome value. So anyway, that's what I've used for this card. This part, so there's our double gatefold, and here is our easel. So this tilts up, I have to get that down in, and then it just props behind the sentiment here. So now we have something, I'm not sure how to best show this without falling over. Okay, so if this was flat on your table, this would be propped up. I guess you can kind of see it there, that it's standing up. So this is a very fancy card. So we are going to put this together tonight, so you will see step by step how to do it. As I say, it's not overly difficult, but there are a number of steps to it. So I will just set this aside and we can get started. So you will need a piece of cardstock, and you're going to start with a piece of cardstock that is 8 1/4 inches by 11 inches. So you just trim a little bit off of the width of your standard piece of cardstock. And on the long side, I have simply scored it at 5 1/2. On the short side, I scored it at 2 2 1/8, 6 1/8, and 6 1/4. And it's probably kind of difficult to see here. There you can, whoops, oh, they've quick flash there. So you can see we have sort of 2 score lines close together. And that is because you want to create just a little bit of a ridge, because this is such a thick card. So then it will lay nicely if you've got those 2 score lines just 1/8 of an inch apart. Okay. We are also going to bring in some designer series paper, and I have a few different patterns that I have used. So this piece is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, and I will put all of these dimensions on my blog afterwards, so you don't have to worry about getting them all. But that one is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then we have a second pattern. We have 2 pieces, and they are 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then we have a third pattern, and these are also 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, that's a lot of designer series paper, 3 different patterns. Again, I have used the Pattern Party paper. This is just the back of some of those papers with the lovely bright colors. All of the pieces in this pack have beautiful, bright, fun colors on the one side, and lots of wonderful black and white patterns on the back. So for this card, I decided to use the black and white since I had used the colored sides for the first card. And we have a gold foil sheet. This is actually the brushed metallic gold foil sheet. You can use gold foil. You can use a different color foil. You can use our copper foil, or you can use the silver. Whatever goes with your designer series paper will work. But this is 3 inches by 4 1/4. Okay, and then you can use another scrap for die cutting the middle, this piece here. I have cut this piece out of this piece because I was going to cover it over on the front. You don't know that I've actually cut something out of the inside. You just need to put a little extra piece of cardstock on the back. So I did that just to economize on my use of the more expensive foil sheets. So that is 3 by 4 1/4. And then I have a piece of basic white cardstock that is 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. So it's just a tiny bit smaller than this. And you can see it's going to create a very slim border all around the edge. Okay, so that's the first piece of the basic white. Then we have a piece that is 2 1/8 by 2 7/8. And we have, I'll set this here so you can see it. And then we have a third piece that is 5/8 by 2 7/8. And this piece can be whatever size you need for your sentiment. All of these dimensions can be adjusted if you need to fit whatever stamps you're using. Okay. We have a piece of cardstock that is 3/4 of an inch by 3 inches, and this is a layering piece. So I didn't tell you, this was fresh freesia and this is rich raspberry. So those are the colors that I'm using on this. We have another piece of cardstock that is 2 1/4 by 3 inches, and it will be a layering piece for this one. Okay, so again, we have a very narrow border on that piece. Lots of cardstock and designer series paper. You will need 22 inches of ribbon. I have used the gold, let me get the exact name here for you. Gold shimmer ribbon. It is in the annual catalog. It is not the super shiny one that is in the fall mini catalog, but it is a lovely gold ribbon that is in the annual catalog. Okay, I am using a stamp set that is now hiding. Oh, here it is, hiding on my desk. Okay, so I have used the Shaded Summer stamp set, which is the same stamp set that I used on this card. I just got it not too long ago and I really like it, so I figured I would stick with it again. I'm also going to use the same die for the inside, which is this one right here. I'll just get it out. It is from the Painted Labels dies. And it worked really well on the card, so we'll use that one again. And a few other coloring tools that I will share with you as we go. So let me get this out of the way. Move some of these pieces out of the way so we can get to work. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is bring in my bone folder. You will see that I have already cut this cardstock. So although I didn't do a really good job here, did I? I have cut from the edge of my cardstock on this middle score line to the second score line. So my first score line is right here, and I've cut over to the second score line, but this cut is just a little bit off, so I'm going to fix that up. Same thing over here, from the edge, there's my first score line, and I've cut all the way into the second score line, and I have taken that off. Okay, I think I missed this score line. Did I tell you this score line? This is on the long side, and see, I didn't write that one down either. There's another mistake in my in my instructions. So this one is at 8 1/4. And I'm going to add that to my notes right now so I don't miss it when I share this with you. So on the long side, we have scored at 5 1/2 and 8 1/4. See, this is how you find all your mistakes. You work with what you created. So I am just going to grab my paper snips and I'm just going to trim this down a tiny bit further, because I had already cut most of that out. There we go. That is better. Okay, so then I'm going to flip it over so that I have the mountain score line here. And the burnishing this with your bone folder is just ever so slightly tricky to get this second fold, because the score lines are so close together. You have to just kind of you know, play with it a little bit to convince it to go onto the second score line and not the first score line. There we go. So now we'll just burnish that. Once you have it burnished, it will fold between the two very easily, and it will create a nice square edge for your card. Okay. Do the same thing on this side. There's the first one, and then we will just tease this second one into folding where we want it. So today is November 29th, and if you were thinking of getting the very best crafting deal for your crafting dollars, you would want to buy the starter kit because it is on sale right now. It is just $100 and you get $165 worth of product of your choice. It is completely customizable, and so you can choose $165 worth of Stampin' Up! Products that you want to add to your stash and pay just $100. Shipping is included in that price. And we would love to welcome you to the Great Stamping Believers team. We're always looking for more crafters in our group. Love to meet new crafters. So if you would like to pick up that deal, there is absolutely no obligation with that. You can buy that starter kit and you don't ever have to do anything else. You can just go away and use all your products, and you know, you don't ever have to do anything further. Of course, we would love to have you stay and join us for crafting. And if you do stay and you continue to make purchases, everything you purchase, you get for at least a 20% discount. So here's the part where I have to run and get the missing piece of cardstock. So this part's going to fold up, but then we need a full piece of cardstock to go on here. And guess what? That too is not on my instructions, and I forgot it. So I am going to run and get some cardstock. Yourselves. Okay, so I am back with my piece of fresh freesia cardstock, and I just need to double check the size here because yes, again, I do not have that on here, so I'm just going to, I think it's just the full size of the card base, but let's just be sure before we cut this and mess it up again. But yes, 4.5 or 5.5 by 4. Okay. I'll move this to the side, bring in my paper trimmer. We want 4 inches here. And 5.25. There we go. And we'll just pretend I had that all along because I was completely and totally organized and ready, right? Don't know who I'm kidding, but anyway, we're good now. Okay, so this is going to attach to this, and then when the card is closed, did I cut that wrong? Oh my goodness. 5.25 should have been 5.5. Okay, cutting cardstock, take 2. So we will cut this. Yes, we'll just cut this at 4 inches and 5.5. See if this is going to work better. So this will get glued onto the bottom section of this, and then when your card is closed, look at that, it will be the same size, full size. Oh, you would think I had planned that and organized it or something. Okay, so maybe we should stick that down right now before we lose it again. Let me just double check. Yes, I can put this on here. I think I'm going to put this on here right now. So I'll just fold it out to the back. I'm going to add some tape runner here. And I am going to put this right on here to line up with this. You'll notice I only put the adhesive on the bottom portion of this, because we do want it to pop up when we stand it up. So, okay, there, I stuck something down and I think I got it right. I think we're okay on that part. Let's bring in some stamps and ink, and let's do a little bit of stamping. So I'm using Rich Razzleberry ink, which will coordinate with the darker cardstock that I'm using. And again, this is one of the images from Shaded Summer. So I'm just going to ink this up. When you're inking your stamps, you want to do lots of gentle tapping on your ink pad. You can take a peek, see if it's nice and inky and you don't have any extra around the edges because you just did gentle tapping. And then you're just going to kind of center it over your cardstock wherever you think you would like. Why does this look okay? I think we're okay. I don't know. It looks a little bit different size, but I'm going to stamp this on here anyway. We'll sort out the sizing later. So you just give a nice firm press down, lift it straight off, and there is your image. Once you're finished, you just want to take a piece of scrap paper and stamp off any excess ink, and then you're ready to give it a clean. You can use the Stampin' Scrub, which is a marvelous cleaning tool, or for quick and easy cleanup, you can use the Stampin' Chamois. This is a marvelous way to clean your stamps as well. So here we go. So I'm going to close that up for now. We're just going to do that. I'm just going to put this on here, and it is the same size. It looked different when I was about to stamp it. I was starting to panic that I had messed up perhaps one more time, but so you notice the flower here has been stamped with Poppy Parade, and then I just used one of my blender pens and I just pulled a little bit of the color from the ink that I stamped with to create the color on the flower. And then I used a blender pen with some green ink in Granny Apple to color the leaves. So I thought this time I would change it up a little bit, and I'm going to use some of our watercolor pencils, and I'm just going to color lightly because I don't want my color to be too dark on these flowers. I'm going to do some light coloring on my flowers, and your coloring doesn't need to be perfect at this point because we are going to soften it again with our blender pens, and that will take away any of the lines that you may see from your pencil. If you were to color with a firmer press, as we used to do with pencil crayons when we were kids, then you would remove some of those lines. But the other way that you can do it is with a blender pen, and this will just smooth the colors around. So I'm just going to go over this, and you can see it has more of a watercolor painted sort of look now than as opposed to a pencil crayoned sort of look. So watercolor pencils are marvelous for coloring with. I was thinking today there's so many wonderful ways that we can color images. Perhaps it's time to spend an evening playing with coloring again. I don't know about you, but I love to color. I loved to color when I was younger, and I still love to color, as do many, many adults. And that's why there's so many adult coloring books around. But we don't need coloring books. We have blender pens and Stampin' Blends and all sorts of ways to color. So when you're finished coloring, you just want to rub the tip of the blender pen onto a piece of paper, and that will take any color out of it that might have been left in there. And I'm going to come in, this time I'm using Garden Green rather than Granny Apple Green. I'm just going to add some color to my leaves. If you are not on my mailing list, I would like to invite you to go to Great Stamping with Connie, and there you will find a form you can fill out to join my mailing list, and then you will know exactly when I'm having events and what's going on, and you can join me for all sorts of fun crafting events. We do mystery stamping, we do this one called That's Fancy. We do a lunch break, which is it celebrates easy crafting and some great quick layouts, card classes, all sorts of things. And you'll also hear about new products that are coming out and sales and all those important things too. Lots of inspiration. And so I would invite you to join my mailing list, and then you can be a part of all those great things. Just fill this in a little bit more. Alrighty. So there we have our coloring done on that. Now, before we put that onto our gold cardstock, we do need to cut the die cut out of it, because, as I said, I was going to use the center of that for it. So move these things out of the way, and I am going to bring in our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. This is just the cutest little guy. When you're used to working with the big one, and then you switch over to this little one, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. It's just a little guy. And speaking of little guys, we are picking up our new kitten tomorrow. The jury is out as to whether this is a good idea or not. Oscar, as you have possibly seen on my Facebook page, is a very active kitten. He's 7 months old now, and we had always planned to get a second kitten, and so we decided that we would do that now. So Felix is coming home tomorrow, and depending on how old you are, the fact that we have a kitten named Oscar and a kitten named Felix may be kind of humorous to you, or may not. When I asked my daughter if I told her that our first kitten was Oscar and the second one was going to be Felix, what would she have to say about that? She sort of went, Felix, like the cat? and it could be, but it's not. It is Felix, as in Oscar and Felix from The Odd Couple. So if you are a little bit more mature, you would know about the TV show from the 70s called The Odd Couple. And the two gentlemen in that were Oscar and Felix. And I can't remember who the actors were. I know one of them was Tony Randall. It wasn't a show that I really watched. I have seen it, and I certainly knew of it, but it wasn't a show that I watched on a regular basis. So I don't even remember a whole lot about it, other than I think they were two divorced guys that ended up sharing an apartment, and one was a slob and one was a neat freak, and they were just different in all sorts of ways. So that was kind of the fun of that show, I think. Okay, so I have two pieces of cardstock for this. I have one piece of plain white cardstock that I am just going to attach to the back, so that when we put this on the card, you cannot see that I have cut my die cut out of the middle of that. So I'm just going to put this right over top here. There we go. And then I am going to put our stamped image on the front. And because it is a very narrow border, I'm going to use the liquid glue so that I have a moment to slide it around a little bit if I need to do that, to just get it in the right place. So the liquid glue is great. It's a little bit forgiving, gives you just an extra moment to make sure you have it in the right place. But that one went down actually very nicely where I wanted it. So I didn't need it this time, but of course, if you use tape runner, that's when you mess it up. Okay, so there is the piece for the front of our card. And I'm not actually going to attach that just yet, but I am going to put the 2 pieces of designer series paper on the front at this point. And you can do them either way. I chose this pattern and the other one will go on the inside. So let's just put this piece down onto the front here. And you just want to get it centered in between your score line and the edge. Oh, there's one. As a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, one of the perks is that we get to see the new catalogs and order from the new catalogs early. So this Wednesday, December 1st, we will get to start ordering products from the new January to June mini catalog. So that is very exciting. We are all looking forward to that. I have seen the catalog. Actually, I guess most demonstrators have seen it. It is available to us online at this point. And oh my, there's a number of fun things. You know, sometimes I look at the catalog the first time and I think, okay, there's a few things that I like, but there's not too many. This won't, you know, I'll pick and choose a few, but we're good. And then I look and there's a couple more that I like. And then I see something that I missed the first time through. And then I see a demonstrator demonstrating something. And of course, then you want it because you see it and you realize how awesome it really is. So the list always grows, but that's okay. As a demonstrator, we get a discount on everything that we buy. So that certainly helps. And in January, celebration will start again. So then you can earn free products as well. So lots to look forward to, but we still have December to go. Let's not rush it yet. There's so many things going on. Okay, so this piece is going to go onto here, and I guess I could put this on now. We'll do that while we're in stick down mode. Alrighty, and then we need to do some more stamping. So we have 2 more things to stamp. We have this small strip that we are going to put our sentiment on. And I have selected this one, Love You Friend. It is from that same Shaded Summer stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it again with the rich raspberry ink. Right side up. Wouldn't really make a difference, would it? But, okay. And if you kind of mess up the stamping the first time, like I just did, the paper's double-sided, and that's why. So you can see I have a little bit of ink on there. So I'm just going to grab my paper towel at this point and get that off of there. The smaller the stamp, the more gentle you need to be when you are tapping it in the ink. So if I check now, it looks like there isn't any ink on the edges this time, so we should be good. Get that a little bit of a press. Perfect. Okay. See, second time lucky. So I'll just get the excess ink off of there. We'll give this guy a quick little clean. Okay, and then we have a piece for the inside. And that is this one. So for that one, I have a happy birthday sentiment that I'm going to put in here. And I'm going to put this piece actually goes, I'll set this down for a moment. If you look, this piece is actually landscape, I guess, would be one way to describe its orientation. And now that I've set that down, of course, I've got ink where I don't want ink. So we'll just give that a quick wipe off. Okay, and I'm going to put this down in the bottom right corner. Okay, and then I'm just going to put my scrap paper underneath that because I'm going to bring in another one of the flower stamps from this set. And I am going to stamp this right over the edge on the left side. There we go. So that gives it some decoration, a little extra pizzazz or something. So, okay, get the ink off of there. Give this a little clean off. And we are finished with the ink. So let's close that up before before I lean in it or something. There we go. Okay, I think we're done with that. So we are ready for some of the final assembly here. So I am going to use my liquid glue again because some of these are fairly narrow, so that part that we messed up on the back, no one will ever know because we're going to glue it down, so no one will see. It will be our little secret. There we go. You just have to be careful with your liquid glue and these small pieces that you don't press sideways or anything, or they will slide, which is what we wanted, and that's why we're using the liquid glue, but then you have to be careful that it doesn't slide when you don't want it to. Okay. And we'll just put some glue on here and get this piece down. This one again has a narrow border, so making the liquid glue the perfect adhesive for this. Okay, and then it's just the final assembly. So the sentiment is going to go across this piece, and I did not attach any of these things with dimensionals because the card is fairly thick on its own, and if you start to add more dimensionals and things like that, it would become very, very thick. So I have just put everything flat onto my paper for this card. Do it this way. And this, I just put it straight across the middle. I mean, you could put it on an angle. Actually, I want to do that. That might be kind of fun. What do you think? What do you think? Go on an angle? Let's be bold and daring, and we'll do something a little bit different on this card. There we go. And then the final piece that goes inside, this one you do want to put on dimensionals, and that is just so that it is a little bit lifted. So when you prop this piece up, it has something to sit against because the cardstock is raised a little bit. So Most of this, as I said, does not have dimensionals because it is quite thick just with all the different layers. But this one piece you do want to have it raised just so it creates a little ledge for your card to prop in. How we doing? Okay, we're good for time, I think. I think we have time because after this we just have to do the front, so we'll be good. Okay, and then this is just going to go, I'm going to put that up like that. It's just going to go near the bottom in the middle. There's no real right or wrong. If you had it too far up, I guess this wouldn't prop up. Well, it probably would. So you could have it almost anywhere, but there we go. Right there, that will hold that. So it's looking lovely. Okay, and then we just have to put the front on. So this front piece, you're just going to adhere on the one side, obviously, so that your card will open. But you want to take your ribbon and we're going to put that down first. So you're going to fold your ribbon in half. You know roughly where the middle is, and that's going to go at the edge here. And I'm just going to lay this, actually I'm going to leave this for a moment. My finger is sticky. I'm going to put a couple of, I'm going to change this whole thing. I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to put a couple of glue dots down in the center here. And then I can stick the ribbon to these glue dots and that will just hold it into place on the back. I will do the same on the part of the front. So there's the middle, which is going to go right about there. Just going to put this on here. Give that a little push. Go around, hopefully I still have it in the middle. It's pretty close. And I am going to put another glue dot down so that this stays straight coming across here. You don't want to put anything on this side because that's the side that you want to have opening. Okay. I'll just put that down. And when you tie this and pull it all together, it will close that gap. Okay, so you don't see it because it sits thickly. Okay, so you could kind of forget all those things I said about the glue dots because it would, or the dimensionals, because apparently I put this front piece on with dimensionals as well, and it seems to be okay. So we'll put this front on with dimensionals. You just want to make sure you get your dimensionals. We only want them on this side, so just down this half of the card. So I'm going to put that right there and down here so that I know right away where to stop. There are lots of dimensionals on there. That will go nowhere, but it is kind of a moving piece. So more dimensionals is maybe better than not enough dimensionals. This card, or this piece of this card. Okay. And we just want to get this into the middle of the card, which is approximately there. And then I can use my checkers as a bit of a guide for where to put this. I think that's close enough. Okay. And woo, just under the wire there, but we're good. There's nothing, nothing sticking through that is sticky. Okay. And then I have the brushed metallic adhesive back dots. I used those on the last card, and I think I'm going to use it again because I really like them, and they go really nicely with this ribbon. I think they just because they're brushed, and this ribbon has a bit of a brushed sort of tone to it as well. So we're going to put on one of the big ones, and I think maybe this time we'll add a couple of the small ones. The other card, I just put one of these on, but we'll give this guy, we'll do a little line of these like that. There we go. And then you would just tie your ribbon into a bow. I guess I could do it. I'll be opening it up because I want to show you the card one more time, but we'll just tie a bow with this ribbon. And as I said, there's lots of ribbon. It's 22 inches, so there's lots for tying a bow. So when you give this to someone, they can untie the bow to open up the card and see all the loveliness inside. But if they want to tie it up again, there's lots to work with. They're not fidgeting with little itty bitty piece of ribbon that they're trying to tie in a bow. So when they receive it, they can just open up the bow, open up the card, and there's this lovely message in here that says, "Love you, friend." And then they open it further, and they have this lovely little happy birthday. This part underneath where we don't have anything, that's where you could write your own personal message and sign the card and whatever you want. And then they can stand that up and it can be on display. Isn't that fancy? This is, it's a fun card. As I said, I hope you don't think it was too difficult to make. There are a number of steps, but it's not too bad. Everything's always easier after you've done it a couple times too. You ever notice that in life? I think Mom and Dad taught us that, didn't they? Isn't that what Mom and Dads always say? Right again, Mom and Dad. Anyway, that is the card. I hope that you like it. It's a fun card to make, and as I say, in the end, that's fancy. And that's what tonight is all about. So if you are watching this replay, I'd love to have you leave a comment. Let me know that you watched the video. Let me know what you think of the card, and let me know if you're going to give it a try. Once again, I am Connie Douglas. I could even put this back up. Just learning how to do all these things. There we go. So I'm Connie Douglas from Great Stamping with Connie, and thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you've enjoyed watching this card, and that you'll join me again next Monday evening, and we'll find something else to do and create and play with and make something that's fancy. Have a great evening, everyone. Bye for now.